Good morning and welcome to Carolina Cares, an iHeartMedia production. My name is Tyler Ryan, your host. This morning, we're going to jump right into it. It's the new year. The new you is right this morning the time that you are finally going to get in shape and stay that way. We've got some very motivating information for you this morning, speaking with Mackenzie Long from Dynamic Sport and Fitness, just about some fitness tips and, more importantly, some fitness myths. We're going to jump into that in just a second. Hang on.
Okay, men, time to be an all-star caregiver. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, be there emotionally and physically. Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Carolina Cares, the first show of 2019, and I felt, and I think it's probably only appropriate to start off the first show of the year talking about the first thing on anyone's mind when the new year rolls around. Yeah, you want to make a little more money. Yeah, you may want to not cuss quite as much. Yeah, you want to maybe be a better person all around. But the one thing is what? You want to lose weight. You want to get into shape. No matter what your fitness level is right now, you want it to be better. So I thought we would spend the next 30 minutes or so talking about fitness in general, resolutions and how this all kind of ties together to actually maybe attain that goal. Because, you know, everybody gives up their resolutions 12 days in. 12 days. So we only have about another 4 or 5. And someone's going to fall off the wagon or get back on the wagon. I'm not sure which it is for that fitness wagon. But, you know, 12 days, that's about 80% of people break down by then. But maybe there's some things we can take away this morning to keep you on that fitness train. There's a lot of myths about fitness as well. But to break it all down for us this morning, Mackenzie Long, you're the marketing director for Dynamic Health and Fitness here in town. First, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
So yeah, fitness. Boy, I bet in the gym industry, it's a boon in the gym industry, right? The first month or two of every single year.
Oh yeah.
The gyms are full, no matter what, if it's Dynamic or Gold's or Move or Johnny's Corner Gym, it doesn't matter. Everybody and their brothers in there trying to push some weight around, right?
Right.
Well, let's talk about that. What is the whole thing that goes into into that New Year's resolution? I get the new year, new you. I mean, I guess we just all need that mark that I'm going to do it as soon as that new year. That's like our go day. But
right.
What happens?
Well, if you think about the timing, it actually works out because people who want to get fit leading up to bikini season and bathing suit season, this gives them enough time if they start now to be in shape once the weather warms up.
For some people. Let's get real. I mean, I do not look any good in a bikini no matter what time of year. I can promise you that. All right. So you say New Year, first of the year, of course, you get through the holidays. We spend 2 months eating and drinking everything in sight, every cookie and gingerbread house and eggnog and good gracious. We treat our bodies like amusement parks for like the last month and a half of every year, right? Actually, I guess 2 months because it starts right at a Halloween.
Right.
You know, you get home
all the candy.
You got to sample the kids' candy to make sure it's good. So January 1st comes around. Talk to me about that.
So we're probably feeling kind of guilty, like we probably need to lose some of that weight we've packed on, and you know, what better time to start in the new year? Right.
So what do you think, you know, and I know that you've been in the fitness industry for a long while, you know, you see the trends, you see the behaviors of the average guy or girl. What happens? Why is it you, I mean, I think, I truly believe you wake up that first, you know, you woke up Tuesday morning, this is it, I am ready, I'm going to go to the gym today. But why is it 12 days in on average or a couple months in that it kind of trails off? What happens?
Well, it's hard. I mean, if it were easy, everyone would do it. So I think that people kind of kick it off strong and they feel good for a couple of days and then they realize, you know, this is more of a lifestyle change and it's difficult to make time to get to the gym every day. And let's be honest, like going to the gym isn't always the easiest thing. So
right. And I'm glad you said that. It really is a lifestyle change. You know, I mean, because and I want to maybe jump to some myths right off the bat, because when you say get into shape, it doesn't mean you don't have to have that bikini body. First of all, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So who cares what your body looks like? I've seen people who look great in bikinis and people who probably don't need to wear them, but they're proud and I love them for it.
Right.
But you don't have to necessarily be that guy on the Peloton commercial, right? I mean, starting out a fitness routine and changing your lifestyle doesn't mean you just get up, slap on your shoes, and you run to the gym like every other meathead tossing weight around, right? It's a lifestyle. How do you get into that?
Right. Well, I mean, you get a habit within a couple days, but making a lifestyle change takes a little bit longer. So, I think that when people set their goals a little bit too high, like if they want to look like the Peloton guy and they think, all right, this is what I'm setting out to do.
Right.
They make these goals almost unachievable. So they're setting themselves up for failure to start with. So I think that making smaller changes, like short-term goals, like, hey, I'm going to walk 3 days this week.
Right.
Or I'm just going to cut out ice cream. So.
Sure. And I think that's true too, because it does take a long time. You can't work out for 4 days and be Mr. Peloton on
Right.
TV, right? Mm-hmm. Peloton better thank us for this whole morning for sure. But yeah, I think you might be right. Is you've got to do things that are realistic for your lifestyle, because you may not be able to carve out, at least initially, an hour a day or 5 hours a week to go to the gym. You got a job, you got a family, you've got a part-time job, and who knows, whatever. Trying to find that time to go to the gym maybe is daunting for some people after a while.
Right. Well, once you carve out just a little bit of time, even if you only pick, 2 hours, if you're saying I'm going to do this for 2 hours a week, maybe 4 days for 30 minutes or 2 days for an hour or something. I mean, if you pick those smaller goals, they're a little more achievable, and then you start seeing results. I mean, you'll see results even with small changes, and
Right.
results are a great motivator. So once you say, hey, if I bump it up to 3 miles a week or 4 miles a week, or if I, go an extra hour next week, then you'll continue to see those changes.
And what do the changes have to be? I know you're with Dynamic. You're a trainer, right? You train people. Obviously, you stay fit, and I think as a trainer, you probably need to keep yourself fit,
Right.
Because that's just kind of the way it is. I don't want to go to a math class from a guy who can't add 2 and 2.
Right.
So you live that lifestyle. But what are some of the small changes? Say for somebody listening that it's always back in high school I was the Al Bundy effect. I was
Right.
the quarterback in high school. But to somebody who hasn't necessarily been all that active for 1, 2, 10, 20 years, and life catches up. The years of maybe not eating the best. Again, work gets in the way, so you don't have time to go work out because you got kids and you got a wife or a husband to take care of. You got who knows what. What are some simple things that anybody could do starting today, this weekend, Monday morning? Real simple. I don't mean go join Dynamic Fitness. I don't mean go out and slap a pair of sneakers on and run 7 miles today.
Just walk to your mailbox. It could be very, very simple things. Just things that, like, if you take the elevator to your 3rd floor job, walk up the stairs. Just
Right.
start moving a little more. It's easier things than what a lot of people try to make it out to be.
But will that have an effect? I mean, if because I do, and I ride an elevator a lot, and I see people who will ride 1 floor, and sometimes they're riding down 1 floor, and I'm always like, it wouldn't hurt to walk, right? But does that really matter? Maybe it says that, but if I walked, I guess if I did it 10 times a day.
Right, because you don't just do it one time. You would do it more than that, and you'll just start feeling better. And little changes like that, it's a domino effect. So if you change that, then you might think, hey, you know what? I'm going to go outside and walk 10 minutes today.
Right.
It just leads to good things.
Now, what about doing, so you move around a little bit. So the first step may be moving around a little bit. Second step, and to going based on your point, it's not all of a sudden changing, going in your closet or into your pantry and throwing everything out. It's about making small changes. So would that apply to your diet as well?
Yes, absolutely. So if you're a soda drinker and you drink 5 sodas a day, I wouldn't say cut out sodas and switch strictly to water. I would say increase your water intake and cut down to 4. Just 4 sodas. Then, once you start noticing some changes there and you feel good about that, you feel you can handle 4 sodas a day, then back it off to 3. Just make gradual changes. If you start out with this big overhaul of your diet, you're probably not going to stick to it because you're going to be miserable. You're going to miss all those delicious things that you were having before.
I miss pizza, man.
Right. So I think that making those smaller changes, make it more of a gradual process, makes people stick with it a little more.
And they don't have to be that big. So it can be like adding carrot sticks? Can it be those small when you reach for a snack instead of a bag of Doritos?
Yeah, absolutely.
Peanuts, or I mean, what are some of the healthier foods out there?
I mean, there's plenty of healthier options even if you switch from like regular potato chips to baked potato chips.
Right.
I mean, just make those changes. The first thing I do whenever I have a client for the first time, I always tell them to start logging their food.
Okay.
So
why?
It kind of is, it's a way of me knowing where they are nutritionally, and it's eye-opening for them. So they might not have an idea that, hey, this drink I got from Starbucks actually has 700 calories in it.
Holy
So if you go in and you log that into an app or something that you're tracking your food with,
right,
and you see, wow, that has way more calories than I thought, they might, not even think about backing off, but they will. Or if they have that drink from Starbucks, maybe later in the day when they want a donut, they'll be like, you know what, I had that Starbucks drink, I probably need to lay off the donut.
It's one of the other guys. It's one of the other.
Right. You just have to, as long as you're aware, like you'll unintentionally make those changes if you're aware of them.
So a long time ago, I say a long time, several years ago, I had found myself in exactly the same situation where I had been too busy at work and didn't have time to get to the gym, and I'm a firm believer in you have to feel comfortable in your own skin. I don't believe in, we use weight as a metric. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. That's really just a metric, a way to say that. I think that everyone needs to feel right in their own skin because not everybody's going to be the Peloton man. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't feel great and take your shirt off and enjoy. Not everyone's going to be, insert pretty girl in a bikini here you look up to. Not everybody's going to have that body, but you should feel awesome about that. So I had gotten to a point, where I wasn't comfortable with my skin, right? Mm-hmm. And I did one of those diets where you cut everything out. You drop your caloric intake to, 800 calories. And I didn't find that very healthy, but that was what I did because it was some fitness program I got a cult or something. I don't know what it was. Mm-hmm. But the interesting thing I did find, though, although it was miserable, and I did lose weight. Of course, your body's going to lose weight. It's going to atrophy. You're going to lose muscle, right?
Right.
But one thing that did change was my taste for certain things. I didn't have pizza for like 2 months. I didn't have some of the junk that I ate. And I did find, and to this day, and that actually lasts, is my palate kind of changed because my body was like,
absolutely.
I don't want this Big Mac anymore. Mm-hmm. Why is that?
I think that's with anything. I mean, you find that with people who try to quit smoking. Mm-hmm. If they quit and then they don't have the taste for it. I mean, once you cut out whatever the bad habit is. I did the same thing with sweet tea when I was in college. I gained, the freshman 15, and then I decided, I need to cut out something, and I cut out sweet tea, and now to this day, I don't drink sweet tea, and it's just too much. I don't like it. I don't even want it. So I think once you do without anything for long enough, you can probably
live without it.
Yep, you adapt. So
there is a diet out there, and actually I'm a little bit involved in learning about it, and it's the two major things you cut out are sugar and white flour. Mm-hmm. And those it seems like two very easy changes, right? I mean, those are. I mean, you can't sugar completely because sugar in everything. But I mean, I'm assuming they mean like
added
spoonfuls of sugar and donuts and Starbucks mates with a whisper of cinnamon on top.
Right.
But those two things, would those two things really impact?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, even if you just start with sugar and not even the white flour thing, if you just cut out sugar, I think you'll start noticing changes, especially for people who are soda drinkers or they drink that sweet tea or they eat a piece of candy here and there. If you just cut those things out, you'll start noticing a difference. Yeah.
Talking this morning on Carolina Cares with Mackenzie Long. She is a trainer from Dynamic Fitness here in town, but just talking about some of the pitfalls and the mindsets. And if like a lot of us, you 2 or 3 days ago, you said, this is my year, this is my time, I'm going to get in shape, I'm going to be healthier, then we want to kind of go over some of these myths and thoughts. We're going to take a quick break and come back, but I do want to talk about, some of the basics and a lot of the myths about working out. I think people think certain things about fitness that may or may not be true, but we're going to ask the expert here, Mackenzie Long from Dynamic Fitness. Carolina Cares is coming right back. Stay with us.
Okay, men, time to be an all-star caregiver. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Be there emotionally and physically. Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Carolina Cares, the very first Carolina Cares of 2019. How about that? And to help celebrate all of the resolutions that we make in earnest, we make them with every good intention to keep them. If it's stop smoking, being nice, maybe cutting down on the cussing, whatever it might be, we do make the resolutions, I think, with the goal and honest, earnest intention to keep them, including the biggest one. Everybody says, I want to lose weight. Summer's coming. We live at the lake, for goodness sake. You got to be in shape. And unfortunately, that resolution, that intention, as true as it may be, unfortunately translate very quickly back into old habits and maybe disappointing results. This morning, we have fitness expert and trainer Mackenzie Long from Dynamic Fitness here in town, just kind of walking us through some of the basics and explaining how easy it really is to start. And the biggest thing we talked about is setting goals. Don't look at these guys on TV who have these great big muscles and think if you don't have them in 3 weeks, you failed, because you haven't. You've got to start, whether you're a ton of weight you want to lose, or maybe you just want to add a little muscle. Maybe you got the classic guy who's the beanpole, who doesn't have any lean muscle, lean person, but needs a lift. It doesn't come overnight, right?
Right. You have to keep at it. Perseverance.
Perseverance. That's a good word. Perseverance. Well, let's talk about some myths of working out, and because there's a lot of them out there. The one I hear a lot. You say, "Hey, you want to go work out?" And I cannot tell you how many times I've heard this. No, I don't do that. I don't want to bulk up. They're too afraid to look like the Incredible Hulk or the Rock or whatever, right?
Right.
What's the deal with that? Is that a reality? If I go in and throw some weight around, am I gonna walk around with like delts that are too big to fit in my suit?
Nope, that is absolutely not going to happen. I hear that a lot too, especially amongst the females. But you can lift super heavy weight and not look like the Incredible Hulk.
Right.
I know it's mind blowing, but you really can. And there's people who do lift a lot of weight and work really hard on it. And if you look up some of those people, they don't look like that. I mean,
right. Does some of it come down to actual just the body that God gave you? I mean, some people just cannot. I mean, we have friends that can eat 17 pizzas a day and they are skinny as a rail no matter what they do. Does some of it come down to just you and you can't or can develop muscle or size in different places?
Right, absolutely. So genetics plays a huge role in it, but even with genetics aside, even if you do have good genetics for building muscle, you're not gonna jump in the gym and 2 weeks later look like The Rock. I mean, right. He works really hard on his body, and I think he looks great. So,
but remember, and think about that. That's his full-time job, right?
Right.
All he's got to do all day is go sit in the gym and do that. He doesn't have to go to work and make car payments and a mortgage payment and balance the kids and all this other nonsense.
Right. So you going in the gym a couple days a week is not going to turn you into that, I promise.
Is there anything to the whole, if I push a lot of weight, I'm going to get big muscles. If I do low reps or high reps and low weights, I'm going to, quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes, I know it's radio, tone a little bit?
It depends, because there is what's called hypertrophy training.
Okay.
So that is lower weight, higher rep type training, and it will build size. I mean, if that's your goal, you can gear higher reps and lower weight towards building size.
Is there one that's more geared toward building size versus building strength? Or endurance, let me put it that way, endurance.
So endurance would be more of the lower weight, higher reps.
Okay.
Strength would definitely be higher weight, lower reps, more rest between sets, things like that.
And so that'd be like the one time I got to move, I can, hey man, I can bench press a car, cool.
Right, because you only have to do it once.
Right, exactly, yeah. Or you've got to do something every day, or you want to go run or do whatever, or get into a push-up contest or whatever. Because those big guys are the great big pecs, they probably can't do as many push-ups as a little guy with a little more tensile strength. I don't think that's a workout term, but I threw that in there.
It works.
All right, so bulking up. What about targeting? What about, hey, I need to work on my butt a little bit, or I need to get the ladies. You do the curls for the girls. What's that about?
So you can definitely target grow muscles. So if you are doing curls for the girls, you probably will get some nice biceps. But if you're trying to target reduce, like I hear a lot of people say, yeah, I need to go do some more sit-ups because I have a big fat stomach. Well, you might have great abs under that big fat stomach.
Everybody's got a six-pack. It's just underneath the keg. That's all.
You can't see it. So a lot of that comes back to your diet and increasing your cardio.
Well, and let's talk about that because the toning, I'm going to turn this fat into muscle. How do I go about turning, or how many crunches do I have to do to turn my fat into muscle, Mackenzie?
Okay, well, you can't turn fat into muscle. Fat is fat and muscle is muscle. So you can get rid of your fat and build muscle, but one is not going to turn into the other. Just like when you hear people say, oh, well, if I bulk up like that, one day it's going to turn back into fat. Well, no. I mean, those muscles might go soft, but they're not going to turn into fat.
Right. They're just soft muscles. They're not necessarily fat.
They're just not as fit as they used to be.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, and you brought up cardio, and really trying to burn away. And we talked earlier today about, doing the whole caloric deficit, and that means just cutting down your calories way back, because you still need to eat. And that's the thing about diets, I think, that people get into trouble, is that we think, well, if I just don't eat anything today, somehow I'm going to lose a bunch of weight today. I don't think and you're the expert, but does the body really work that way? And
No.
we need calories to walk around, breathe, and blink our eyes.
Yes, absolutely. So we do have like a baseline that we need to survive. And if we're not meeting that, or if we're just barely meeting that, our body's going to go into starvation mode, and it's going to hang on to anything you do eat. So if you say, well, I haven't eaten all day, I'm going to eat a slice of pizza for dinner, your body's going to hang on to that slice of pizza because it doesn't know when its next meal is coming. So there's a fine line between putting your body into starvation mode and a calorie deficit. So the calorie deficit is a common theme amongst all the diets, whether it's the keto or, just the clean eating diet. If you're trying to lose weight, the calorie deficit is going to be the common thread.
But it doesn't necessarily mean cut down to a ridiculous amount.
No,
it means
no.
You're obviously the whole thing's a balancing act, right? If you expend more calories than you take in, that's mathematics.
Yes. Just put out more than you can take in, and it works out.
Now, that doesn't mean you can outrun a friend of mine, my buddy Chris Wooten, Representative Chris Wooten, in fact, with the 69th District. He's a trainer, and he always says you can't outrun a Big Mac.
Right.
You may run 50 miles a day, but you just, unless you're Michael Phelps, I suppose, but you just can't still put junk in your body because it's just not going to work out for you.
Right. Because aside from how you look, it's doing things to your heart and your internal systems that you can't outrun. You can't outrun a bad diet.
Right. So it's the mix then. It's going to be just that. I mean, we talked in diet a little while ago, but it's really going to be that mix. And it doesn't mean cut everything out of your diet cold turkey.
Right.
Because that's where you're going to set yourself up for failure.
Exactly. Small changes.
Right. And that's really the theme. So you can't target. I can't bulk up. That is so depressing that I can't just can't turn this fat into muscle. What about the theory that people, and I think sometimes it's discouraging, if you're looking at the scale, if your metric of fitness is a number, 140 pounds, 200 pounds, whatever, 300 pounds, whatever, I want to lose, whatever. Is it true that muscle weighs more than fat? So technically, if you're looking for a fit lifestyle, you can technically lose fat, become more fit, but by the scale, by that silly scale you step on in the morning before you take your shower, you actually could see a rise in number, or at least a maintaining the number?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why is that?
So, muscle, it doesn't weigh less than fat, but fat, it's more dense. Muscle is more dense than fat. So,
Oh yeah, I suppose a pound is a pound, right?
A pound of muscle is a pound of muscle, and a pound of fat is a pound of fat. So,
Fair enough.
So, when I have clients, I usually encourage them to step away from the scale. Don't worry about that number. I'll tell them, take measurements, take before and after pictures, or even progress pics. Take those weekly, and you'll start noticing difference in how your clothes fit and how
that's motivation right
how
there.
you feel. Yeah, absolutely. Before you notice the number change, because a lot of people who come in, they might be lifting weights for the first time in their life, so they are going to be building muscle right out the gate, and you'll see the difference before you see it on the scale. You'll see the difference in your body before you see it on the scale.
What about the benefit to having an accountability partner or a group? I mean, a lot of group training, they even have, I keep talking about Peloton because they have a really cool thing. You can actually work out with other people around the world because we've gotten this world of, we actually don't have to talk to people in person anymore. But but what about having, a group or even just a buddy?
There's a big value there. So on top of that accountability of somebody else working with you, we like shared suffering. I mean, we're humans. We want.
This really stinks.
Right.
Yeah, it does, man. Let's keep going.
You don't want to suffer alone. So there's definitely value there. So if you have somebody, if you're having a bad day and you call your workout buddy and say, I don't really want to go today to the gym, they might say, well, let's just go. We'll just walk a little bit today. So it's definitely a motivator.
Is that a failed workout day? If you're really trying hard and you're talking about discouraging, and you've made your resolution and you've done good, you've done well, you've worked out 2 or 3 times this week, and maybe you're starting out fresh, so you are doing a Stairmaster, maybe just moving a little weight around. You're not grunting and groaning and moving a house. You're lifting what your body can handle with its current state. But is it fair to say that, hey, I didn't make it to the gym today, but I have a half hour to go walk around my neighborhood? That's not a lost day then, is it? I mean, that's still a fitness day. That's a day that's plus for your body.
Absolutely. Yeah, just because you can't go in and you can't put in the effort that maybe you did the day before or the week before, skipping it altogether is definitely way worse than, I only walked 10 minutes. Well, hey, you walked 10 minutes.
Well, and I think people do. What can I get out of 10 minutes? You can, right? 10 minutes is still 10 minutes of exercise.
Yeah, it's getting your heart rate up for a little bit, get that blood flowing. So
now we talked a little bit about a food log. What about an exercise log? I see a lot of guys at the gym, they do a set and they'll write it down. Is that same benefit there? Because you actually maybe can see wow, I'm lifting 10 more pounds than I did a month ago.
Oh yeah, definitely. So on top of, it's a good motivator for you, but there's also that progressive overload. So if you are trying to build muscle and you see, maybe you're not building it like you want to, but you go back and you look and you're like, okay, well, I've been doing 3 sets of 10 at the same weight for the past 4 weeks. Well, maybe it's time to bump it up to a set of 12, or maybe it's time to increase that weight.
Right.
So you need to have that progressive overload, and the only way you can track that is by writing it down. There's also apps you can download.
Sure.
Some of those food logging apps also let you put in your exercise, so it keeps that.
It kind of keeps all your gains.
Right. It keeps your caloric balance in check.
Talking this morning with Mackenzie Long from Dynamic Sports and Fitness, a trainer, just really the basics. And we only have a couple of seconds left, but really today, if somebody's listening and they are, I want to do this. I want to do it for my health. I realize I'm not going to look like The Rock, but I want to lose 10, 20, 30, 40. I just want to get in better shape for my kids. I want to be around for my grandkids, whatever. It starts with just moving, right? Get off the couch, take the stairs at work, to walk for 10 minutes, and put down the Snickers and pick up a apple.
Yep, absolutely. Make those small changes. Just make the changes.
And be consistent and keep the changes. I love it. Thank you so much for the information today. Just great food for thought. Things to think about. Those myths are my favorite part. Just a few things there. Even I thought, y'all, not quite. So we'll put links for you to some more fitness tips, also to Mackenzie, to Dynamic and all that stuff where she does her practice as well. Just at WVOC right there at that right at the link at WVOC under the Carolina Cares tab. Hey guys, we're going to be right back. Mackenzie, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Carolina Cares. My name is Tyler Ryan. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Of course, Mackenzie and Dynamic, really interesting information about motivating. It starts with you. It's not about going to the gym. It's not about pushing around a lot of weight. It's not about looking like The Rock, at least not yet. It's about one step after another, tiny little wins that keep you motivated all year long. Details, WVOC, the Carolina Cares tab. I'll put that up for you, some links up there as well. My name is Tyler Ryan. Thank you so much for joining us for Carolina Cares, an iHeartMedia production. I will talk to you in 7 days.